Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna look at UFC Fight Night Edwards versus Brady, and yeah, I'm gonna tell you which fighters I picked to win, and yeah, let's just hop right into it. Ooh, that's the wrong. This is the right one. Sorry. We start out with the prelims. We have the lightweights, Guram Kutateladze versus Kaue Fernandez. About this fight, I think it can be a very fun fight because they're both preferring to stand up, and yeah, but with KO artists, that can be a very fun fight. Can be a long fun fight. It can be a very short fun fight, but we're gonna see. I think so far in his career, Kutateladze hasn't been very successful in the UFC. I think he has one or two wins. Let me just check that, but I think 1 or 2 wins. How many has he got? Two wins, 2 losses. Fernandez is still riding the hype after he got a TK on his last win. He lost before that, but yeah, I think he came back on the horse. He got back on the horse. I'm sorry. Pause. He got back on the horse after his loss and returned with a dominant TKO in his last performance, and I think that's going to happen this time again. I think TKO for Kaue Fernandez. We move on. Bantamweights, we have Nathan Fletcher versus Kaulan Lochran. Lochran? Something like that. Lochran's run in the UFC has been very tough so far. I thought during the tough 32 shooting, I thought Nathan Fletcher looked really promising. Also in his fight, he looked really promising. He was just a little bit too patient. Maybe not a little bit. He was just too patient and accepted bottom position, trying to submit. I think he fought Khan Offley. But he couldn't get the submission and stayed on his back. And he won a round. He won the last round because he rallied hard. And I think if he fought the way he fought in the third, I probably would have won that fight. But he accepted bottom position too much. I think he's learned from that, and since the tough, he has once fought in the UFC and got a stoppage. So I think it's looking like he's growing into his potential. And since he's more of a grappler, I think this is going to be a submission win for Nathan Fletcher. We move on. Women's strawweight division, Shauna Bannon versus Puja Tomar. Not sure how to pronounce this actually. Puja Tomar, maybe. This is not easy to predict, I think. Puja Tomar had a very rough start to her career. I think she had like 3 or 4 losses in a row. But she's stayed in it and she improved a lot, and right now she's looking better than ever. Shauna Bannon, on the other hand, has since, I think she's Irish, since moving out of the regional into the UFC, she's lost all her momentum. I think she's lost 2 in the UFC. No, I'm sorry. She didn't lose all her momentum, but she lost a lot of it, because she lost to Bruna Brazil. It's not, if you want to be a champion in that division, it's not looking good if you have lost to Bruna Brazil. I'm sorry. So, that being said, I'm rooting for Bannon, actually. I think she's cute, actually. But I think Tomar is gonna going to be stronger. And by being stronger, physically stronger in the upper body, I believe that she's going to be able to dictate where the fight takes place and hence take a decision in the end. So I predict Puja Tomar by decision. We move on. Middleweights, Christian Leroy Duncan versus Andrei Pulyaev. Yes. This can be a fun one too. I have to say, Pulyaev had a lot of finishes lately, but he has been finished in the past. And the past is not that long ago. I think 23 or something, he got finished twice. Christian Leroy Duncan, on the other hand, has not been finished. Has he been finished before? He might have been finished before, but not like regularly. He lost twice, and both by decision. So he hasn't been finished yet. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Christian Leroy Duncan because I don't think Pulyaev is going to be able to finish Duncan. If Duncan connects on Pulyaev, I think he's going to be able to finish him. So I'm leaning towards a TKO for Christian Leroy Duncan. That's my prediction for that one. All right, we move on. Heavyweights, Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. I have to admit, in the build-up to this, I switched twice, I think. I started out with Mick Parkin, went to Marcin Tybura, or maybe even 4 times. No, I started with Marcin Tybura, went over to Mick Parkin, back to Tybura. And you get where I'm going with this. Now I'm back on the Parkin hype train. Marcin Tybura will be a very tough test for him. And Marcin Tybura has shown in the past that he can derail the hype. He can just crush the hype. And I think it's possible that he's going to be too big, too strong for Mick Parkin. And on the other hand, if Mick Parkin lands on Tybura, I'm not sure Tybura is getting out of there. I think Tybura has a decent chin and pretty good recoverability. I think he recovered in a lot of his fights. He got hurt in many of his fights, but he got back. Is he going to come back from a shot from Mick Parkin? We're going to see. I'm pretty sure we're going to see, because I'm pretty sure that Parkin is going to land him at one point in the fight. Yeah. As I said, I'm torn in this one. But right now, I'm leaning towards Mick Parkin, keeping his win streak alive. We move on. Flyweights, Loner Kavanagh versus Felipe dos Santos. Kavanagh, so far in his career, he's undefeated, but he has a big challenge in Dos Santos. Dos Santos has lost twice in the last couple of years. He lost to Manel Kape and to Andre Lima. Andre Lima, who fought last or the week before. Either last week or the week before, he fought and dominated. I think he finished his fight late. I think it was last weekend. I think it was Saturday. Yeah, pretty sure. So there's no shame in losing to these two guys. I'm still leaning slightly towards Kavanagh because I think Dos Santos is going to struggle to finish him. And if he does not get a finish, I think there's a potential for Kavanagh to take over and or dominate the fight in its entirety. So I'm leaning towards a unanimous decision win for Loner Kavanagh. We move on. Lightweights. Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. That's going to be a fun one. I guarantee that's going to be a fun one. It might be short and sweet, but that's going to be a fun fight. Jai Herbert, he has a couple of losses, but if you look who he lost to, it's pretty impressive. He only lost to top-tier fighters, actually. And whenever Chris Padilla in his career has fought top-tier competition, he has struggled. Also, Jai Herbert gave Ilia Topuria the hardest fight of his career, and that aged like the best wine ever. He almost head kicked him out. If he head kicks Topuria out in that moment, who knows? Maybe everything changes in Topuria's career. Maybe. But Topuria rallied and managed to defeat Herbert. Did he finish him? I think he did. I think he got finished by Topuria. Yeah, in the second. He was smacking Ilya around the first round. Like, if you watch that fight back after he demolished Volkanovski and Holloway, that's like this. I can't even show it with my bad shoulder how high of a step that is. And yeah, Jai Herbert gave him a hard fight. And I think he's going to do the same this weekend, especially in London. It is in London, right? Or is it in Liverpool? In London, yeah. O2. In the O2. Yeah. Jai Herbert just has a lot of power, has ridiculous stand-up. Chris Padilla is a fun fighter to watch. But I just think that Jai Herbert has more power, and it's going to show. I predict Jai Herbert to win by KO or TKO. We move on. Featherweights. Oh. Is it feather? 1 second. Yeah, featherweights, of course, featherweights. Featherweights, Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charrier, and we also enter the main card. Yeah, Morgan Charrier has a weird record. It's like he has 20-10. But lately he has looked like $1,000, I think. He has been on a pretty good streak. He lost to Chepe Mariscal by a split decision. Other than that, he last lost in 2021. Against Paul Hughes, I think he was the Cage Warriors champion no, not at the time, but he became the Cage Warriors champion at some point, I think. Whatever. I think this is going to be a very, very tough fight for Morgan Charrier to win. He's very, very powerful, but Nathaniel Wood has shown in the past that he has a good chin and great recoverability. So he has been knocked down, and I think he has lost by knockout too, but what I'm saying is it has happened in the past that he got dropped, but he recovered and recovered well. You know, there's fighters that recover and still take the fight, and there's people that recover and look like a shell of themselves in the later ends of the fight, because they generally just were knocked out or something. Well, I think in this fight Nathaniel Wood is going to be able to manage an early storm. This storm might even look like Morgan Charrière dropping him. But I think he's going to start to take over. If not in the first round, in the second round at the latest, I think. And I think at some point he's going to break Morgan Charrière, who has lost by submission before, and Nathaniel Wood is the kind of person to exploit a weakness like that, because I think Morgan Charrière has also lost a couple by submission. No? I think so. Just once. All right. I still think he's going to get broken by. I stand by it. I still think Nathaniel Wood is going to be able to submit Morgan Charrière at some point in time. Probably because Morgan Charrière is a little gassed and he gives him something, and maybe he's trying to shoot and Nathaniel Wood just grabs on a guillotine, or in a scrambling situation he ends up on his back and Nathaniel Wood gets the rear naked choke. Those are the ways for Nathaniel Wood for a finish, actually. I think he's going to win a decision either way, but I think he's going to submit Morgan Charrière. We move on. Oh, here we go. Second fight of the main card, we have Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. Yeah, this is basically a classic striker versus grappler. But in the case of Chris Duncan, he has a lot more tools. Than just 1 second. He's a striker, no? Yeah. He has a lot more tools. Vucenic has one way to win this fight, and that's to dominate the grappling. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think, actually, if I remember correctly, I thought that he got a little bit robbed in the Guram Kutateladze fight. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. But still, I think that Chris Duncan is too versatile, has too well-rounded I think it's going to be it can be a very fun fight. A lot of scrambling, I think. I hope it's going to be close. And I think it's going to go down to a decision in the end for Chris Duncan. But I don't think it's impossible for Vucenic to get his grappling going late. And if that happens, he might actually get a submission there. But I think Chris Duncan's going to take a decision here. We move on. Women's strawweight, we have Molly McCann versus Alexia Tainara. That's a tough one. That's really a tough one. I'm not sure, not entirely sure the exact date her opponent got changed, but this is one of the more difficult opponent changes you can ever find. Her original opponent, Nunes, was on a losing streak, also not known to be a strong finisher. And you have to say that Molly McCann has, out of her last, I think she lost a lot lately, I think. Let me not slander her. I think she had 3 losses. One in each year from 22 to 24. And she lost to Bruna Brazil as well, which, as I said, if you want to be a champion, it's tough. But she lost twice by submission. And I think Alexia Tainara is just a better grappler, at least, than Yulia Stoliarenko. Probably also better grappler than Erin Blanchfield, and they both managed to submit Molly McCann. So I believe this is gonna go similar. Alexia Tainara has also lost to Bruna Brazil, but she lost to her in her third fight. Yeah, her third fight. It was 2019, and I think she's grown since then. And she has a lot of finishes. She seems to be a great grappler, and yeah, I think she's going to take it to Molly. Molly McCann. With Molly McCann, you can never say never, because maybe she's probably going to throw a couple of spinning back elbows, and we've seen that if those land, that it's going to be night, you know? So I think it's possible for McCann to rally or to get the win here, but I think she should lose this fight. I think Alexia Tainara is just too much of a submission threat, and yeah, that's how it's gonna go. Sorry, Molly. We move on. Welterweights, we have Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. This is also a fight I changed my mind a couple of times, but this time I'm not going to spoil who I'm rooting for now, or who I'm predicting to win. But let's just talk about this fight, okay, for a second. Gunnar Nelson is coming back from a 2-year layoff, pretty much exactly 2 years. On paper, if you look at their resumes, if you look at their last fights, Gunnar should march through Kevin Holland. But styles make fights, as you say, and Nelson might just be the challenge that Kevin Holland needs. Because, here's my reasoning behind this. Gunnar Nelson isn't known for his volume or his pressure. And both these things gave Kevin Holland a lot of problems in his especially in his losses. Because Gunnar is just more relaxed on the feet, and he doesn't necessarily shoot for takedowns unless he gets hurt. On the other hand, if you hurt Gunnar Nelson, the history has shown that it oftentimes results in a finish. Gunnar Nelson has been finished a couple times. Don't let me lie on this. Once. Is that the Santiago Ponce? Wow. I was actually thinking the only knockout I was thinking of was Santiago Ponzinibbio, but I thought he must have been knocked out more than that, but he hasn't. Was his one and only KO loss. I think Kevin Holland has more power than Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think he has a better timing than Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think he's quicker than Santiago Ponzinibbio. So I think the danger is there. So this is my opinion on this fight. I think this is going to be a back and forth, and either Kevin Holland catches Gunnar Nelson with something. It might be a crazy submission from his back. It might be like the Jacare from the bottom, striking from the bottom in some shape or form. But it can also be just on the feet and he clips him and finishes him off. Or if that doesn't happen, if he doesn't catch him with something big, I think Gunnar Nelson's taking a decision here. Because he's just technically solid, And Kevin Holland has been outstruck before. It's possible that Gunnar Nelson's going to try to outstrike him. And I think it can happen. Yeah. But that's what I think. I think either Kevin gets a finish or Gunnar takes the decision. But I'm leaning towards a decision for Gunnar Nelson. But I'm very, very torn about this fight. We move on. Co-main event, we have the light heavyweights. Jan Blachowicz finally returning to the octagon versus Carlos Ulberg. I'm saying finally returning, but because I think he hasn't fought the last year. Yeah, and he didn't. Last fought in July of 23, so good to see him back. Against Carlos Ulberg, yeah. I think my prediction is pretty clear, I think. I think Carlos Ulberg is a fun fighter to watch. I think he's a good striker. And he has looked very good in his last fights. But he has always looked hittable and hurtable. Jan Blachowicz, on the other hand, is so hard to finish. Has been finished, I think, Thiago Santos or someone, but 5 years ago or something like that. Thiago Santos, yes. And Glover. Glover submitted him though. And I think those are his two. No, he lost more by KO. Who else? Oh. Sokuju? No, that doesn't. It has to be Sokuju. Wow. That was decades ago. Yeah. So, Jan does not get knocked out easy. But he's not getting younger. He's 42 now. Yeah. But as I said, I wasn't torn about this matchup. I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. I think there's a possibility for Ulberg to catch Jan and maybe finish him. But as I said, it's not common for Jan Blachowicz to get finished. And Jan Blachowicz, on the other hand, when he hurts you, he's going to finish you. And at some point in this fight, the legendary Polish power is gonna hit. And I think it's gonna hurt Carlos Ulberg. And as I said, I think Jan Blachowicz has a killer instinct that's second to none. So if he hurts Ulberg the way... Who hurt Ulberg? I mean, Nzechukwu knocked him out after he got stung a lot. And then he overcommitted and got knocked out. That's the first. But who else? I'm not sure. Alonso Manifield? No. Went too quick. Couldn't be. But he got hurt. He got hurt a couple times in his fights. Chukwi, maybe? Even though it was a very short fight, it might have been the Nchukwi fight. I think that was just a war. Yeah, he's got a lot of finishes, but I don't think he's going to finish Jan Blachowicz. But I do think that Jan Blachowicz is going to be able to finish Carlos Ulberg if he hurts Ulberg, and I think it's going to happen at some point in this fight, which is why my strong suggestion is a TKO for Jan Blachowicz. We move on to the main event. Finally, my God, that was a lot of words for nothing. Main event, welterweights, Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. I have been torn about this fight, surprisingly. I think the true question about this fight is not who's going to win, who's the better fighter. Of course, the question is going to be who's going to win, but who's the better fighter is not going to be the question. The question is which Leon is going to show up. The one that got dominated by Usman in the first and the second fight, because other than that head kick, he had nothing in that fight. He was losing on all cards, on all cards obviously, but he was losing all rounds, and I think he even lost 1 or 2 10-8s in there. So there was nothing for him to gain. He hit a home run when no one was expecting anything from him anymore. Or is it the other Leon, the confident Leon? Because that Leon was just bullied by Kamaru Usman. And who got dominated by Bilal. Just no chance. Big brother to the end of days. But the confident Leon, as in the Usman in the third fight, or most of the Colby fight, except for the last round, of course. That Leon, he can beat any welterweight on the planet. I'm sure. But I actually doubt that we will see him. I doubt that we will see him. I think Sean Brady is going to do to Leon Edwards exactly what Belal Muhammad did before. Somewhat history repeats itself, in my opinion, and it's like the Tyron Woodley situation. Like, he's the champion, and some people think he's the super dominant force, and then he gets cracked by Usman. Then he gets cracked by Dos Anjos, and they all do it the same way. And they pretty much do the same thing to Leon Edwards. They just dominate him in the clinch, they take him down, dominate him there, don't give him any space. It's pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Except for Tyron had only the overhand, and Leon has a couple more tools. Yeah. As I said, that Leon can beat anyone, can beat any welterweight on the planet, but I don't think he's going to come out on Saturday. Even though it's in London and he should come out, I don't think he's going to be there. I think Sean Brady is going to be able to get to him and take him down on occasion, maybe just clinch him and dirty box him, something like that. He might be content with that if he can take him down. But he's going to score points there still, and Leon's not. So I think in the long run, it's going to be a decision win for Sean Brady. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it when it's only the wrestling that dominates who's winning. I prefer it to be more MMA, you know? Because Sean Brady is not really the greatest submission threat. He's not the greatest at BJJ. He's just a great wrestler. But he's still, I think he's going to beat Leon Edwards and then maybe get a title shot out of it. Who knows? Well, those were my picks. We're just going to check it out in the overview and make a quick run through. And then we're done. And then I'll see you again Saturday. Not that late this time, I heard. Yeah. But let's check out the overview. So as I said, I have in the first fight, I have Cowboy Fernandez TKO over Guram Kutateladze. I have Nathan Fletcher subbing Caroline Loughran. I have Pooja Tumar winning a decision over Shona Bannon. I have Christian Leroy Duncan getting a TKO over Andrei Puriaev. I have Mick Parkin also getting a TKO over Marcin Tybura. I got Loner Kavanagh by unanimous decision over Felipe dos Santos. I have Jay Herbert by TKO over Chris Padilla. Now I have to switch, I think. Yeah, exactly. And I have... What did I do? Oh, the other way around. I'm sorry. Those were the fights I just told you. I started from the bottom. Oh my. Where's my head at today? Okay. Do them again? No. You see them? We move up. The only way is up. Jai Herbert by TKO over Chris Padilla. Nathaniel Wood by submission over Morgan Charrier. Chris Duncan by unanimous decision over Jordan Vucinic. Alexia Tainara by submission over Molly McCann. Gunnar Nelson by unanimous decision over Kevin Holland. Jan Blachowicz by TKO over Carlos Ulberg. And last but not least, Sean Brady by unanimous decision over Leon Edwards. All right, that's one last thing. Fights to watch for. I think I'm excited for the Nathan Fletcher fight. See if I thought that he was really a prospect, and when I saw him on the Ultimate Fighter, and I'm excited to see if my prediction, like that was 2 or 3 years ago, if it turns out to be true or not. We'll see. Other than that, I'm excited for Mick Parkin, of course. Can he pass the test of Marcin Tybura? It's going to be a very, very tough one. Also, Loner Kavanaugh versus Felipe dos Santos is going to be a fun fight. Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla is going to be a great fight, as long as it lasts. And the co-main. Co-main might be the best fight for me tonight, because I think it's very possible that Carlos Ulberg is going to hit and hurt Jan early on, but I don't think he's going to finish Jan. And I think Jan's going to rally and get his own TKO. So, sounds like a fun fight, no? Well, that's it for now. I hope this helped if you guys are betting people. If not, I hope you just enjoy the fights this weekend. Yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one. As I said, the day after tomorrow, on Saturday, after the event, I'm going to give you my... reaction to the UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Brady. You have a good one. See you.